The nut on this P-base is toast. It's chipped all over and the slots are worn so low that the strings are buzzing on the first fret, so we really need to change this guy out. And with Fender nuts, most of them have a curve on the bottom that matches the radius of the fingerboard. So when you make a new nut, you have to take that into consideration. And while it's kind of hard to see when you're looking at it, if you set a ruler in there, you can see that that rocks back and forth and is not sitting flat in the slot. When making a Fender nut, sanding that radius into the bottom can be the most difficult part of the job. And the tricky thing about it is keeping the bottom of the nut square to the sides while you're filing. It's really easy to tip the file one way or another and to make this ledge uneven and out of square. Here's another technique I see a lot of people using. They'll put a piece of adhesive back sandpaper face up on a fingerboard and then work the nut blank back and forth to try to sand the radius in that way. And again, just like working with files, it's really easy to get the nut just skewed just a little bit in one direction, and that'll throw off the bottom in relation to the sides. The same problem goes when using a belt sander too. Just a little rock in either direction will throw you off. If your nut doesn't fit the slot properly, you lose tone and sustain as a result of the bad coupling. Plus, it just looks kind of bad. I wouldn't feel comfortable passing this on to my client. Let me show you what I've been doing in my shop. The first thing I do is determine the radius of the fingerboard. And in this case, it appears to be a traditional Fender 7 1/4. And then I mark my radius out on my blank. So what I have here is the small Robo-Sander installed into my drill press. I have a scrap board with a hole drilled in it that is 1 1/4 inches in diameter, and it's deep enough to clear the bearing of the Robo-Sander, leaving only the sandpaper grit part exposed. So my workboard here, on the back side, I have 2 of our 1-inch guitar repair magnets installed, and that helps keep the work table secured to my drill press table while I'm working. I made a little fixture here by drilling a hole in a piece of scrap wood. I have our vacuum attachment here, which goes into my shop vac. That's going to clear away most of the dust. And now I'm going to sand this radius into the blank here. I'm using the 80 grit sleeve because the finer grit cuts cleaner, but still leaves some teething for the glue to grip onto. I'm carefully and evenly removing material until I've reached my pencil mark. Checking it with my radius gauge, looks pretty darn good. Fit this blank. It's nice and tight, feels good. I'm going to check it for gaps all the way around. Nothing on this side, nice and tight. Nothing on that side, looks really good. With the hard part out of the way, it's all downhill from here.